So Alan was so thrilled and so excited to read this. He put his name in second, but I'm going to invite him to read the first couple of paragraphs. Hi, John.
Thank you, Michael. I feel very honored to do that because this is truly one of my favorite pieces of literature that's come to my life. So thank you. Just tell me when you want me to start.
Give it a go.
Okay, here we go. Imagine a morning in late November, a coming of winter morning more than 20 years ago. Consider the kitchen of a spreading old house in a country town. A great black stove is its main feature, but there is also a big round table and a fireplace and 2 rocking chairs placed in front of it. Just today, the fireplace commenced its seasonal roar. A woman with shorn white hair is standing at the kitchen window. She is wearing tennis shoes and a shapeless gray sweater over a summery calico dress. She is small and sprightly, like a bantam hen, but due to a long youthful illness, her shoulders are pitifully hunched. Her face is remarkable, not unlike Lincoln's, craggy like that, and tinted by sun and wind. But it is delicate too, finely boned, and her eyes are sherry-colored and timid. Oh my, she exclaims, her breath smoking the window pane. It's fruitcake weather. The person to whom she is speaking is myself. I am 7. She is 60-something. We are cousins, very distant ones, and we have lived together, well, for as long as I can remember. Other people inhabit the house, relatives, and though they have power over us and frequently make us cry, we are not on the whole too much aware of them. We are each other's best friend. She calls me Buddy, in memory of a boy who was formerly her best friend. The other Buddy died in the 1880s when she was still a child. She is still a child.
Greg?
I knew it before I got out of bed, she says, turning away from the window with a purposeful excitement in her eyes. The courthouse bell sounded so cold and clear, and there were no birds singing. They've gone to warmer country. Yes, indeed. Oh, Buddy, stop stuffing biscuit and fetch our buggy. Help me find my hat. We've 30 cakes to bake. It's always the same. A morning arrives in November, and my friend, as though officially inaugurating the Christmas time of year that exhilarates her imagination and fuels the blaze of her heart, announces, "It's fruitcake weather. Fetch our buggy. Help me find my hat." The hat is found. A straw cartwheel corsaged with velvet roses out of doors has faded. It once belonged to a more fashionable relative. Together we guide our buggy, a dilapidated baby carriage, out to the garden and into a grove of pecan trees. The buggy is mine. That is, it was bought for me when I was born. It is made of wicker, rather unraveled, and the wheels wobble like a drunkard's legs. But it is a faithful object. Springtimes, we take it to the woods and fill it with flowers, herbs, wild ferns for our porch pots. In the summer, we pile it with picnic paraphernalia and sugarcane fishing poles and roll it down to the edge of a creek. It has its winter uses, too, as a truck for hauling firewood from the yard to the kitchen, as a warm bed for Queenie, our tough little orange and white rat terrier, who has survived distemper and 2 rattlesnake bites. Queenie is trotting beside it now. Next.
Three hours later, we are back in the kitchen, hulling and heaping buggy loaded of one fall pecans. Our backs hurt from gathering them. How hard they were to find, the main crop having been shaken off the trees and sold by the orchard's owners, who are not us. Among the concealing leaves, the frosted, deceiving grass. God, I'm sorry. You know what? I can't barely read this, so someone else need to pick it up. I'm sorry.
How about Raymond?
Okay. Okay, I'll start with 3 hours later, we are back in the kitchen hauling a heaping buggy load of windfall pecans. Our backs hurt from gathering them. How hard they were to find. The main crop having been shaken off the tree and sold by the orchard's owners, who are not us. Among the concealing leaves, the frosted, deceiving grass, caracal, cherry crunch, scraps of miniature thunder sounds as the shells collapse and the golden mound of sweet, oily ivory meat mounts in the milk glass bowl. Queenie begs to taste, and now and again my friend sneaks her a mite, though insisting we deprive ourselves. We mustn't, buddy. If we start, we won't stop, and there's scarcely enough as there is for 30 cakes. The kitchen is growing dark. Dust turns the window into a mirror. Our reflections mingle with the rising moon as we work by the fireside in the firelight. At last, when the moon is quite high, we toss the final hull into the fire, and with adjoining sighs, watch it catch flame. The buggy is empty, the bowl is brimful. We eat our supper, cold biscuits, bacon, blackberry jam, and discuss tomorrow. Tomorrow, the kind of work I like best begins. Buying cherries and citron, ginger and vanilla, a canned Hawaiian pineapple, rinds and raisins and walnuts and whiskey, and oh so much flour, butter, so many eggs, spices, flavorings. Why, we'll need a pony to pull the buggy home. But before these purchases can be made, there is a question of money. Neither of us has any, except for skinflint sums persons in the house occasionally provide. A dime is considered very big money, or what we earn ourselves from various activities, holding rummage sales, selling buckets of hand-picked blackberries, jars of homemade jam and apple jelly and peach preserves, rounding up flowers for funerals and weddings. Once we won 79th prize, $5 in a national football contest. Not that we know a full thing about football. It's just that we enter any contest we hear about. At the moment, our hopes are centered on the $50,000 grand prize being offered to name a new brand of coffee. We suggested AM, and after some hesitation, for my friend thought it perhaps sacrilegious, the slogan AM exclamation mark, amen exclamation mark. To tell the truth, our only really profitable enterprise was the Fun and Freak Museum we conducted in a backyard watershed 2 summers ago. The fun was a stereopticon with slide views of Washington and New York, lent us by a relative who had been to those places. She was furious when she discovered why we borrowed it. The freak was a 3-legged bitty chicken hatched by one of our own hens. Everybody hereabouts wanted to see that bitty. We charged grown-ups a nickel, kids 2 cents, and took in a good $20 before the museum shut down due to the decrease of the main attraction.
Andrew?
But one way or another, we do each year accumulate Christmas savings, a fruitcake fund. These monies we keep hidden in an ancient bead purse under a loose board under the floor, under a chamber pot, under my friend's bed. The purse is seldom removed from this safe location except to make a deposit, or, as happens every Saturday, a withdrawal. For on Saturdays, I am allowed 10 cents to go to the picture show. My friend has never been to a picture show, nor does she intend to. I'd rather hear you tell the story, buddy. That's why I can imagine it more. Besides, a person my age shouldn't squander their eyes. When the Lord comes, let me see him clear. In addition to never having seen a movie, she has never eaten in a restaurant, traveled more than 5 miles from home, received or sent a telegram, read anything except funny papers and the Bible, worn cosmetics, cursed, wished someone harm, told a lie on purpose, let a hungry dog go hungry. Here are a few things she has done, does do. Killed with a hoe the biggest rattlesnake ever seen in this county, 16 rattles. Dip snuff secretly. Tame hummingbirds, just try it, till they balance on our finger. Tell ghost stories, we both believe in ghosts, so tingling they chill you in July. Talk to herself, take walks in the rain, grow the prettiest japonicas in town, know the recipe for every sort of old-time Indian cure, including a magical wart remover. Now with supper finished, we retired to the room in a faraway part of the house, where my friend sleeps in a scrap quilt-covered iron bed, painted rose pink, her favorite color. Silently wallowing in the pleasures of conspiracy, we take the bead purse from its secret place and spill its contents on the scrap quilt. Dollar bills tightly rolled and green as May buds. Somber 50-cent pieces, heavy enough to weigh a dead man's eyes. Lovely dimes, the liveliest coin, the one that really jingles. Nickels and quarters worn smooth as creek pebbles, but mostly a hateful heap of bitter-odored pennies. Last summer, others in the house contracted to pay us a penny for every 25 flies we killed. Oh, the carnage of August, the flies that flew to heaven. Yet it was not work in which we took pride. And, as we sit counting pennies, it is as though we were back tabulating dead flies. Neither of us has a head for figures. We count slowly, lose track, start again. According to her calculations, we have $12.73. According to mine, exactly $13. I do hope you're wrong, buddy. We can't mess around with 13. The cakes will fall or put somebody in the cemetery. Why, I wouldn't dream of getting out of bed on the 13th. This is true. She always spends 13ths in bed. So to be on the safe side, we subtract a penny and toss it out the window.
Ken? Oh, try mute. How about Christian?
He's reading, but he's just muted.
Ken, can you unmute yourself?
I thought I was unmuted. Am I not?
Now you are.
Um, of the ingredients that go into our fruitcake, whiskey is the most expensive, as well as the hardest to obtain. State law forbids its sale, but everyone knows you can buy a bottle from Mr. Ha Ha Jones. And the next day, having completed our more prosaic shopping, we set out for Mr. Ha Ha's business address, a sinful, to quote public opinion. I have the wrong page.
Fish fry is the next word.
Yeah, fish fry. A sinful fish fry.
Well, you're catching up, and Dancing Cafe down by the river. We've been there before and on the same errand. But in previous years, our dealings have been with Ha Ha's wife, an iodine dark Indian woman with brassy, peroxided hair and a dead tired disposition. Andrew? Ken?
Actually, we've never laid eyes on her husband, though we've heard that he's an Indian too, a giant with razor scars across his cheeks. They call him Ha Ha because he's so gloomy, a man who never laughs. As we approach his cafe, a large log cabin festooned inside and out with chains of garish gay, naked light bulbs, and standing by the river's muddy edge under the shade of river trees where moss drifts through the branches like gray mist. Our steps slow down. Even Queenie stops prancing and sticks close by. People have been murdered in Ha Ha's cafe, cut to pieces, hit on the head. There's a case coming up in court next month. Naturally, these goings-on happen at night when the colored lights cast crazy patterns and the Victrola wails. In the daytime, Ha Ha's is shabby and deserted. I knock at the door. Queenie barks. My friend calls. Mrs. Ha, ma'am, anyone to home? Footsteps. The door opens. Our hearts overturn. It's Mr. Ha Jones himself. And he is a giant. And he does have scars. And he does not smile. No, he glowers at us through Satan-filled eyes and demands to know what you want with Ha. For a moment, we are too paralyzed to tell. Presently, my friend half finds her voice, a whispery voice at best. If you please, Mr. Ha, we'd like a quart of your finest whiskey. His eyes tilt more. Would you believe it? Ha is smiling, laughing too. Which one of you is a drinking man? It's for me making fruitcakes, Mr. Ha, cooking. This sobers him. He frowns. That's no way to waste good whiskey. Nevertheless, he retreats into the shadowed cafe and second later appears carrying a bottle of daisy yellow unlabeled liquor. He demonstrates its sparkle in the sunlight and says, $2. We pay him with nickels and dimes and pennies. Suddenly, jangling the coins in his hand like a fistful of dice, his face softens. Tell you what, he proposes, pouring the money back into our bead purse. Just send me one of them fruitcakes instead. Nick?
Well, my friend remarks on our way home. There's a lovely man. We'll put an extra cup of raisins in his cake. The black stove, stoked with coal and firewood, glows like a lightened pumpkin. Egg beaters whirl, spoons spin round in bowls of butter and sugar. Vanilla sweetens the air, ginger spices it. Melting, nose-tingling odors saturate the kitchen, suffuse the house, drift out to the world on puffs of chimney smoke. In 4 days, our work is done. 31 cakes, dampened with whiskey, bask on the window sills and shelves. Who are they for? Friends. Not necessarily neighbor friends. Indeed, the largest share are intended for persons we've met maybe once, perhaps not at all. People who've struck our fancy, like President Roosevelt, like the Reverend and Mrs. J.C. Lucy, Baptist missionaries to Borneo who lectured here last winter, or the little knife grinder who comes to town twice a year, or Abner Packer, the driver of the 6 o'clock bus from Mobile, who exchanges waves with us every day as he passes in a dust cloud whoosh. Or the young Wistons, a California couple whose car one afternoon broke down outside the house and who spent a pleasant hour chatting with us on the porch. Young Mr. Whiston snapped our picture, the only one we've ever taken. Is it because my friend is shy with everyone except strangers, that these strangers and merest acquaintances seems to us our truest friends? I think yes. Also, the scrapbooks we keep of thank yous on White House stationery, time-to-time communications from California and Borneo, the knife grinders, penny postcards, make us feel connected to eventful worlds beyond the kitchen with its view of the sky that stops.
Now a new December fig branch grates against the window. The kitchen is empty. The cakes are gone. Yesterday we carted the last of them to the post office, where the cost of the stamps turned our purse inside out. We're broke. That rather depresses me, but my friend insists on celebrating, with 2 inches of whiskey left in Ha-Ha's bottle. Queenie has a spoonful and a bowl of coffee. She likes her coffee chicory flavored and strong. The rest we divide between a pair of jelly glasses. We're both quite awed at the prospect of drinking straight whiskey, and the taste of it brings screwed up expressions and sour shudders. But by and by, we begin to sing. The 2 of us singing different songs simultaneously. I don't know the words to mine, just come on along to the Darktown Strutters Ball. But I can dance. That's what I mean to be, a tap dancer in the movies. My dancing shadow rollicks on the walls. Our voices rock the chinaware. We giggle as if unseen hands were tickling us. Queenie rolls on her back, her paws plow the air. Something like a grin stretches her black lips. Inside myself, I feel warm and sparky as those crumbling logs, carefree as the wind in the chimney. My friend waltzes round and round the stove, the hem of her poor calico skirt pinched between her fingers as if it were a party dress. Show me the way to go home, she sings, her tennis shoes squeaking on the floor. Show me the way to go home. Enter two relatives, very angry, potent with eyes that scold, tongues that scald. Listen to what they have to say, the words tumbling together in a wrathful tune. A child of 7, whiskey on his breath. Are you out of your mind? Feeding a child of 7 must be loony. Road to ruination. Remember Cousin Kate? Uncle Charlie? Uncle Charlie's brother-in-law? Shame. Scandal, humiliation. Kneel, pray, beg the Lord. Ron.
Queenie sneaks under the stove. My friend gazes at her shoes. Her chin quivers. She lifts her skirt and blows her nose and runs to her room. Long after the town has gone to sleep and the house is silent, except for the chimings of the clock and the sputter of fading fires, she is weeping into a pillow, already as wet as a widow's handkerchief. Don't cry, I say, sitting at the bottom of her bed, shivering despite my flannel nightgown that smells of last winter's cough syrup. Don't cry, I beg, teasing her toes, tickling her feet. You're too old for that. It's because, she hiccups, I am too old and funny. Not funny, fun. More fun than anybody. Listen, if you don't stop crying, you'll be too tired tomorrow and we can't go cut a tree. She straightens up. Queenie jumps on the bed, where Queenie is not allowed, to lick her cheeks. I know where we'll find a real pretty tree, buddy. And holly too, with berries big as your eyes. It's way off in the woods, farther than we've ever been. Papa used to bring us Christmas trees from here. Carry them on his shoulder. That's 50 years ago. Well now, I can't wait for morning. Morning. Frozen rime lusters on the grass, the sun round as an orange and orange as hot weathered moons, balances on the horizon, burnishes the silver winter woods. A wild turkey calls, a renegade hog grunts in the undergrowth. Soon by the edge of knee-deep, rapid running water, we have to abandon the buggy. Queenie wades the stream first, paddles across, barking complaints at the swiftness of the current, the pneumonia-making coldness of it. We follow, holding our shoes and equipment, hatchet, a burlap sack, above our heads. A mile more of chastising thorns, burrs, and briars that catch at our clothes, of rusty pine needles brilliant with gaudy fungus and molten feathers. Here, there, a flash, a flutter, an ecstasy of shrillings remind us that not all the birds have flown south. Always the path unwinds through the lemony sun pools and pitch vine tunnels. Another creek to cross, a disturbed armada of speckled trout froths the water around us, and frogs the size of plates practice belly flops. Beaver workmen are building a dam. On the farthest shore, Queenie shakes herself and trembles. More or less? I'll go. I'll keep going. Tell me when. My friend shivers too. not with cold, but enthusiasm. One of her hat's ragged roses sheds a petal as she lifts her head and inhales the pine-heavy air. We're almost there. Can you smell it, buddy? She says, as though we're approaching an ocean. And indeed, it is a kind of ocean, scented acres of holiday trees, prickly leafed holly, red berries shiny as Chinese bells. Black crows swoop upon them, screaming. Having stuffed our burlap sacks with enough greenery and crimson to garland a dozen windows, we set about choosing a tree. It should be, muses my friend, twice as tall as a boy. So a boy can't steal the star. The one we pick is twice as tall as me, a brave, handsome brute that survives 30 hatchet strokes before it keels with a creaking, rending cry. Lugging it like a kill, we commence the long trek out. Every few yards, we abandon the struggle, sit down and pant. But we have the strength of triumphant huntsmen. That and the tree's virile, icy perfume revives us, goads us on. Many compliments accompany our sunset return along the red clay road to town. But my friend is sly and noncommittal when passersby praise the treasure perched in our buggy. What a fine tree! And where did it come from? Yonder ways, she murmurs vaguely. Once a car stops. The rich mill owner's lazy wife leans out and whines. Give you 2 bits cash for that old tree. Ordinarily, my friend is afraid of saying no, but on this occasion, she promptly shakes her head and says, we wouldn't take $1. The mill owner's wife persists. $1? My foot. 50 cents. That's my last offer. Goodness, woman, you can get another one. In answer, my friend gently reflects, I doubt it. There's never 2 of anything.
Elliot?
Home. Queenie slumps by the fire and sleeps till tomorrow, snoring loud as a human. A trunk in the attic contains a shoebox of ermine tails off the opera cape of a curious lady who once rented a room in the house. Coils of frazzled tinsel gone gold with age, 1 silver star, brief rope of dilapidated, undoubtedly dangerous candy-like light bulbs. Excellent decoration as far as they go, which isn't far enough. My friend wants our tree to blaze like a Baptist window, droop with weighty snows of ornament. But we can't afford the, the made in Japan splendors at the 5 and dime. So we do what we've always done, sit for days at the kitchen table with scissors and crayons and stacks of colored paper. I make sketches and my friend cuts them out. Lots of cats, fish too, because they're easy to draw. Some apples with some watermelons, a few winged angels devised from saved up sheets of Hershey bar tinfoil. We use safety pins to attach these creations to the tree. As a final touch, we sprinkle the branches with shredded cotton, picked in August for this purpose. My friend, surveying the effect, clasped her hands together. Now, honest, buddy, doesn't it look good enough to eat? Queenie tries to eat an angel. After weaving and ribboning holly wreaths, you want to keep reading, Michael? After weaving and ribboning holly wreaths for all the front windows, out next project is the fashioning of family gifts. Tie-dye scarves for the ladies. For the men, a home-brewed lemon and licorice and aspirin syrup to be taken at the first symptoms of a cold and after hunting. But when it comes time for making each other's gifts, my friend and I separate to work secretly. I would like to buy her a pearl-handled I would like to buy her a pearl-handled knife, a radio, a whole pound of chocolate-covered cherries. We tasted some once, and she always swears, I could live on them, buddy. Lord, yes, I could. And that's not taking his name in vain. Instead, I am building her a kite. She would like to give me a bicycle. She said so on several million occasions. If only I could, buddy. It's bad enough in life to do without something you want. But confound it, what gets my goat is not being able to give somebody something you want them to have. Only one of these days, I will, buddy, locate you a bike. Don't ask me how. Steal it, maybe. Instead, I'm fairly certain that she is building me a kite, the same as last year and the year before. The year before we exchanged slingshots, all of which is fine by me. We are champion kite flyers who study the wind like sailors. My friend, more accomplished than I, can get a kite aloft when there isn't enough breeze to carry clouds.
Alan, did you want to read?
Sure, thank you. Christmas Eve afternoon, we scraped together a nickel to go to the butcher's to buy Queenie's traditional gift, a good gnawable beef bone. The bone, wrapped in funny paper, is placed high in the tree near the silver star. Queenie knows it's there. She squats at the foot of the tree, staring up in a trance of greed. When bedtime arrives, she refuses to budge. Her excitement is equaled by my own. I kick the covers and turn my pillow as though it were a scorching summer night. Somewhere a rooster crows, falsely, for the sun is still on the other side of the world. Buddy, are you awake? It is my friend calling from her room, which is next to mine. And an instant later, she is sitting on my bed holding a candle. Well, she declares. My mind's jumping like a jackrabbit. Buddy, do you think Mrs. Roosevelt will serve our cake at dinner? We huddle in bed and she squeezes my hand. I love you. Seems like your hand used to be so much smaller. Guess I hate to see you grow up. Grown up, will we still be friends? I say always. But I feel so bad, buddy. I wanted so bad to give you a bike. I tried to sell my cameo Papa gave me. Buddy, she hesitates as though embarrassed. I made you another kite. And I confess I made her one too, and we laugh. The candle burns too short to hold. Out it goes, exposing the starlight. The stars spinning in the window like visible caroling that slowly, slowly daybreak silences. Possibly we doze, but the beginnings of dawn splash us like cold water. We're up, wide-eyed and wandering around while we wait for others to waken. Quite deliberately, my friend drops a kettle on the floor. I tap dance in front of closed doors. One by one, the household emerges, looking as though they'd like to kill us both. But it's Christmas, so they can't. First, a gorgeous breakfast, just everything you can imagine, from flapjacks and fried squirrel to hominy grits and honey in the comb, which puts everyone in a good humor, except my friend and me. Frankly, we're so impatient to get at the presents, we can't eat a mouthful. Well, I'm disappointed. Who wouldn't be? With socks, a Sunday school shirt, some handkerchiefs, a hand-me-down sweater, and a year's subscription to a religious magazine for children, The Little Shepherd. It makes me boil. It really does.
My friend has a better haul. A sack of satsumas, that's her best present. She is proudest, however, of a white wool shawl knitted by her married sister. But she says her favorite gift is the kite I built for her. And it is very beautiful, though not as beautiful as the one that she made me, which is blue and scattered with gold and green good conduct stars. Moreover, my name is painted on it, Buddy. Buddy, the wind is a-blowin'. The wind is blowing, and nothing will do until we run to a pasture below the house where Queenie has scooted to bury her bone. and where, a winter hence, Queenie will be buried too. There is plunging through the healthy waist-high grass. We unreel our kites, feel them twitching at the string like skyfish as they swim into the wind. Satisfied, sun-warmed, we sprawl in the grass and peel satsumas and watch our kites cavort. Soon I forget the socks and the hand-me-down sweater. I'm as happy as if we'd already won the $50,000 grand prize in that coffee naming contest. My, how foolish I am, my friend cries, suddenly alert, like a woman remembering too late that she has biscuits in the oven. You know what I've always thought? She asked in a tone of discovery and not smiling at me, but a point beyond. I've always thought a body would have to be sick and dying before they saw the Lord. And I imagine that when he came, it would be like looking at the Baptist window, pretty as colored glass with the sun pouring through. Such a shine, you don't know it's getting dark. And it's been a comfort to think of that shine taking away all the spooky feeling. But I'll wager it never happens. I'll wager at the end, a body realizes the Lord has already shown himself, that things as they are, her hand circles in a gesture that gathers clouds and kites and grass, and Queenie pawing earth over her bone, is just what they've always seen, was seeing him. As for me, I could leave the world today with today in my eyes. Somebody want to finish it up?
This is our last Christmas together. Life separates us. Those who know best decide that I belong in a military school. And so follows a miserable succession of bugle-blowing prisons, grim, reveille-ridden summer camps. I have a new home, too, but it doesn't count. Home is where my friend is, and there I never go. And there she remains, pottering around the kitchen, alone with Queenie, then alone. Buddy dear, she writes in her wild, hard to read script. Yesterday, Jim Macy's horse kicked Queenie bad. Be thankful she didn't feel much. I wrapped her in a fine linen sheet and rode her in the buggy down to Simpson's pasture, where she can be with all her bones. For a few Novembers, she continues to bake her fruitcake single-handed. Not as many, but some. And of course, she always sends me the best of the batch. And in every letter, she encloses a dime wadded in toilet paper. See a picture show and write me the story. But gradually in her letters, she tends to confuse me with her other friend, the buddy who died in the 1880s. More and more 13ths are not the only days she stays in bed. A morning arrives in November, a leafless, birdless coming of winter morning. When she cannot rouse herself to exclaim, "Oh my, it's fruitcake weather." Next.
And when that happens, I know it. A message saying so merely confirms a piece of news some secret vein had already received, severing from me an irreplaceable part of myself, letting it loose like a kite on a broken string. This is why, walking across the school campus on this particular December morning, I keep searching the sky as if I expected to see, rather like hearts, a lost pair of kites hurrying towards heaven.
Yay, thank you guys. That was great. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late. We have company visiting from Houston, Texas that just arrived. So,
Party doesn't start until you get here, babe.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Michael. I just wanted to thank everybody who read. It was so nice. I just sort of pictured myself in the rug room in a puppy pile with all of you reading me a bedtime story. It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you guys so much. Love you. Big holiday hugs, kisses, all that.
What's everybody doing for the holiday?
I'm home alone this year, but I've structured a really great day. I'm cooking a lot of fun things that I like to eat and spacing them out through the day. And then in between, I've set up FaceTime and Zoom sessions with family, friends, and people I love that I'm not seeing. Another friend and I, who often go to the movies on Christmas, we're watching something together. And so it'll be a kind of fun day. It really will. I'll be, eating and hanging out with friends on Zoom. It's not a bad solution to the social distance thing.
Alan, I like that you're doing that, but I also like that you did put the picture up behind you. That was so cool. So thank you for finding that.
Yeah. That's the real Truman Capote right there, and his cousin Sook.
It's great.
Thank you for noticing.
Don't be shy.
Hi, this is Ron. I will speak. I really enjoyed this as well. This is one of my favorite stories. I actually watched the film version this afternoon alone while making a present for someone. So it felt very appropriate. I had no whiskey though. I'm going to do what I've been doing. We are here on the Cape. We put a tree up, the first time we probably put a tree up in a decade. So we pulled out, I've found all these ornaments that I didn't know I had or that I forgot I had, and lots of memories seeping to the fore. And just cooking, eating, doing a family Zoom call, and really appreciating my good fortune. And I'm cut off. Yes, and I enjoyed this celebration. More things like this would be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
I forgot to mention that one of the phone calls I'm doing is with a group of 4 friends, and it's inspired by tonight's reading. What we're doing is we're sharing our own earliest Christmas memories. So that's kind of going to be fun, I think.
Does anybody want to share one of those? I'd love to hear that.
I actually, yeah, we had this tradition because in Germany, Christmas Eve is the big day where the Christkindl comes. So for a few days before Christmas Eve, the living room was off limits because the Christkindl did its magic there. But I remember Christmas Eve, we all got dressed up in nice clothing, and then we sat. We had a 2-story house, so we sat on the stairway to the 2nd floor, just waiting for the bell to ring. There was like a little bell ringing. That means the Christkindl was done and we could go into the room. And there was the tree, and at that point we still had like, you know, regular candles, red candles that were lit, and all kinds of ornaments. And you know, the days before, we also made our own ornaments of like straws, from straws, with like different stars. And so yeah, so the whole family, you know, were then in the room, and we sang some carols together. And then, you know, it was time to unpack. And at some point, Mom and Dad went into the kitchen to get all the food ready for the feast. And typically, grandmas from both sides, grandparents, I don't remember, I think it was always just grandmas who were there, but you know, they were also there. And my dad was Swiss, so you know, his mother and an aunt came from Basel, and they were really, really funny. And the funniest thing was that I don't know why, but at that time, I guess importing coffee was from Switzerland to Germany was like, you had to declare it, and they were so proud that they smuggled coffee from Switzerland to Germany. So that's one of my earliest stories, just, you know, sitting on the stairs in anticipation in like in the Sunday clothes, waiting for the bell to ring.
And only imagine them getting it past those, like, you know, the noses of those German Shepherd dogs, you know, searching for the contraband coffee.
And was Christmas dinner Hassenpfeffer?
No, not necessarily it was Hassenpfeffer, no. But Raymond does want to make Hassenpfeffer.
Yeah, I was kind of obsessed with making Hassenpfeffer. I was constantly looking at the internet for a place to buy rabbits.
Well,
There's a
Raymond's a
great
good cook.
recipe on Bugs Bunny.
Oh, what? I learned about it from Bugs Bunny, actually.
Cook, cook, where's my lunch? Where's my dinner? Where's my Hassenpfeffer?
I can't believe how organized you guys were waiting for a bell. I mean, my brothers and I would go unwrap everything, open it up, look at it, and then rewrap it. To really knew what we were getting, which really killed the surprise.
Now the living room was off limits for a few days before. It was like you couldn't go in there.
Well, Germans are better at following rules than Michael.
I guess so.
No doubt.
Well trained.
My absolute first memory in life, not just of Christmas, is being held, I don't know in whose arms, but just staring with amazement at the lights on a Christmas tree in our parlor. And I don't know, if I was born in February, I guess that means I was less than a year old, but I know that that's my first memory. I'm still mesmerized by them.
I have a friend who, for years, we have gotten together on Christmas Day and did sort of the traditional Jewish thing of a movie and Chinese food. And this year, we're obviously not going to do movies, but we've been part of each other's COVID bubble. So I'm going to go over to her house and we're going to order out probably Chinese food, and then go for a drive and to look at Christmas lights on people's lawns. And we've done that many times in years past as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
It sounds like the only difference is it's takeout Chinese this year.
You got it. It is.
And there are some movies that are getting released on Vudu and a couple other ones. So the new Sofia Coppola is available for streaming, and the new what is it, Ma Rainey's is out as well.
Well, it's going to be an interesting year. We're a friend of ours, Bob Berthume, who Gordon knows as well, is having about 6 of us over for a nice dinner party on Christmas. So that'll be nice. And you know, it's a crowd that everybody's been kind of COVID conscious, so it should be good. So we're excited about that. And it's nice having Michael here from Houston. He literally just arrived. So early Christmas present. So.
I have another memory. It's not really my very first memory, but you know, it was one of the more exciting things is that you know, as we got, I don't know, maybe 12 around. So Christmas was the one evening that the kids were able to drink some wine as well. So that was like something to look forward to. It was like really, really super special that, yay, you know, we can drink something adult.
Welcome, Tom.
Hello.
We started the reading at 7. I don't know if you noticed that it was an earlier time this month.
Oh, I didn't.
Let's do it again, everybody.
You can read it. You can read it backwards.
Right.
He was just being his usual fashionably late.
I remember your first email that said that it was going to be an hour earlier. But that's not where my head was at today.
We were just talking about drinking wine as a kid, Tom, if you have.
Yeah, Gordon.
Did that happen to you?
Yeah, actually it was. On special occasions, I would get a little bit of a sip of wine.
Well, when we were kids, I remember we got my mother a blender for Christmas. Then every year, including that year, there were, she loved making fancy drinks. So we'd have frozen daiquiris and sours. Her favorite was a brandy Alexander. I don't know, they'd all send, Child Protective Services would have had a fit. We always had sips of these drinks.
Nice sweater, Tom.
Well, thank you. I want you all to notice that first of all, that it lights up.
Whoa,
when you move.
Are you a member of the Space Force?
Well, and there's a little sticker on here that says, "I light up."
Is that in reference to you smoking marijuana?
I'm lit. My father worked for NASA for several decades in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. And so I found this in TJ Maxx.
Oh, I was hoping it was a family heirloom.
No, alas.
There's another one left on the.
I was imagining NASA Christmas parties where your father would be wearing that.
Well,
And I figured everybody in the control room did that.
I bought it. I only bought it last year, Ron, because my friend Sean Forbes and his partner Peter had an ugly Christmas sweater party, and so not owning one myself, of course, I went out and bought one.
You didn't knit it yourself, honey?
No,
Why?
darling, I did not. I did not. If I ever tried, Doug, to knit something,
it would look like a tangle of yarn that a cat had shredded apart.
Better
de-
shredded apart than puked on.
Well, that's true. A deconstructed sweater. I once tried needlepoint, and it didn't go well. So what can I say?
Much
So,
blood.
Tom, is there a passage? Is there a passage in the short story that you'd like to read so that you have a shot?
Oh, no, thanks, Greg. Thank you, though. Thank you.
Or act out.
But I'll be the fruitcake.
I always thought there was only one fruitcake that just got passed around from year to year.
Oh, right. You know, Capote was great friends with Harper Lee, the author of To Kill a Mockingbird. And who's the geeky little boy who's
Yeah.
their friend, is a
The
kind of
annoying little boy, yeah.
yeah, is a version of Capote.
Well, I have one other kind of funny story of Christmas from childhood, which didn't turn out too well. But in 1972, I was a bit of a wee lad, and my father thought it would be a great idea if we went together and got my mother a sewing machine. My mother was the original women's liver. Well, she opened that up, and the look on her face, if looks could kill. She took it right up to the attic and vowed she would never, ever use that. Yeah, it was kind of one of those. It was a weird Christmas.
At least it wasn't a vacuum cleaner.
Right. My father was the romantic in the relationship when it came to gift giving to my mother, and my mother was always much more pragmatic in gift giving. So one year he bought her a mink stole, or what's the thing that sort of it is a stole that goes around the sort of top part. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't a mink coat. It was just
Yeah,
Stole.
part stole. Okay. And she was furious and made him take it back. But so, and that one year he bought her a beautiful dinner ring. Her birthstone was aquamarine, and it was really quite lovely. And she did keep that. A dinner ring. Imagine that, a dinner ring.
So what was wrong with the mink stole?
Nothing wrong with it. It just was an excessive purchase that she could not countenance, Russ, because she was very practical about things.
About 2 years ago, I got my niece that lives in New York a mink stole at an estate sale, but it was only $25. So there was no worry about extravagance.
Right.
Because I assume they were expensive in the day.
Oh, yeah.
I do remember my mother, we got her, I don't recall whether she bought it or we bought it for her, but she had this coat and she wore it out, and one day she saw two people wearing the same coat. So that went back. Didn't make any difference that she'd worn it. She still had all the labels, and she took it back.
That's lovely, Alan. Hold it up again. Oh, yeah.
Was that a dinner ring?
It's a dinner ring. Beautiful.
Does it have like salt and pepper that you can pour into your food out of it, or?
It holds a poison pill if she wants to kill anybody.
Love that underdog one.
Right. Lucia, once owned by Lucia Borgia.
Well, this is my first winter Christmas in years since not in Florida. And it's a new experience being inside, not being able to do barbecue and not being able to go to the beach.
Mm, mm.
I would be remiss, I forgot to mention David Reynolds developed COVID, and he's been having some breathing problems. And
Oh
so
my
just
gosh.
inviting, he's on the mend now as his partner, but thought we'd send him some love.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would expect that he would have been here for sure. So he must not be feeling well.
It's still hard for him to speak, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Things real.
It's a vicious, it can be a vicious thing with long lasting consequences.
Love to hear anybody else's childhood memories.
Well, I remember when I guess my first childhood memory is of Christmas was my parents, I guess they instilled us in a belief in Santa Claus. And so they told me that he came down a chimney. And so I wanted to remain awake for that. And so I stayed in the living room as long as I could, but eventually I think I fell asleep and I was taken to my bed. That's what I remember.
Well, we Raymond, we didn't have a fireplace. So this took some creative thinking. And my mother and father explained that he had a pass key to our house.
A what?
A pass key.
Oh, a pass key.
A pass key, a master, sort of a master key. Like he had a master key for every Schlage lock in the neighborhood.
Very similar to a magic key.
Yeah, really.
When I was about, I guess, 5, before I went to public school, my mother enrolled me in a small private school for nursery school and kindergarten and first grade because they would start me at age 4 before public school would, so my mom could go to work. But one year, and I think I was 5, they had a Christmas party and we all got a grab bag gift, but I got in big trouble because I pointed out to people that Santa Claus was really Mike, the bus driver, who still had his bus driver uniform on under the Santa suit. So like, why can people not see this? And so that to sort of punish me for being, for divulging the state secret, they put me in a room by myself with a kaleidoscope. That was my grab bag gift. And I was fine with that because I was tripping out on the kaleidoscope. I was like a sensuous kid who thought this was amazing. But when my mother came to pick me up, she was furious with them. And I remember her saying, "You punished him for telling the truth?" Mm-hmm. And then on the way home in the car, she said, "You could have let them have their fun."
So she wasn't angry. She was just disappointed, huh?
No, she was never angry with me except once when I called her a name by accident. Every Saturday morning, and this is probably true for almost every household in the United States in the 50s, that was the cleaning time. Saturday morning was clean the whole house. And one day she was vacuuming and I was in the way and I was tap dancing and she told me to get out of the way and blah, just like I was really jamming up the works. And under her breath, she called me a son of a bitch, which I heard. And I said to her, "If I'm a son of a bitch, aren't I your son?" And it was like her hair went boing. That was the only time I ever remember her being angry at me.
I can't imagine how she kept from not laughing.
Well, yeah, she was
probably did once you were out of the room.
Maybe, but while I was in the room, she certainly let me feel the wrath. It was, let's just say, it brought when I saw Mommy Dearest, it trauma triggered me.
Scott, when I was in 7th grade at Von Steuben Junior High School, they had a music literature class I was in, and the music teacher said, if anyone joins the choir, then they can get an A in this class. So I joined the choir. And we're practicing doing Panis Angelicus. It's a I think it's a Christmas song. I don't know. It's in Latin. Anyways, the choir is singing and the guy says, wait a second, stop. This third of the choir sing, the one that I wasn't in. And they sang. He said, okay. Then he goes to the middle third. He says, you sing. They sang and he said, okay, good. And he goes to the next third. And he says, okay, the middle 2 rows, you sing. So middle 2 rows, the kid sang. Then he pointed at like 3 or 4 of us and he said, sing. So we sang. And then he pointed at me and he said, you get out. You can't sing.
Oh,
Oh, Lord.
no.
Sucks.
Oh,
So
Lord.
everyone that signed up for the choir got an A. Everyone that didn't sign up for a choir got a C, and I got a B.
This sounds like a trauma that Scott Harris had in school.
Scott, you're being very quiet tonight.
Well, maybe he's still trying to recover from it. It could be what shouldn't have opened that
It was
wound.
horrifying. I was called out for singing out of key, and for years afterwards, I would never sing.
Well,
I was such a bad singer that in every school play that I ever did, I was told to just lip sync the words.
But when I was in 3rd grade, I went into the bathroom, which was next to the 3rd grade classroom, and I was like, the acoustics were amazing. I was like, la, like la, like la 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 la. So I have myself a little concert, and then I go back into the classroom, and the nun is like, "Do you have a little concert in there?" In front of all of my classmates, I wanted to die. Sister Antonella, I have never forgiven her.
Well, my entry into theater occurred in 2nd grade with Sister Helen Agnes, who was from Boston and who was just thrilled because JFK had just been elected. So we had a little Christmas play in our 2nd grade classroom, and I was the 3rd shepherd with the following lines, or line. It is beautiful, oh so beautiful.
How did you retain that after all these years?
How could you forget? How could you forget? Listen, I remember the first poem I memorized, which was painted on a kid's bathroom stool next to a little painting of a bunny. And the poem says, beside the bunny, place your feet, wash hands and face, be clean and neat.
Oh,
That's sweet.
So I got my break in big stage in 2nd grade also in the Christmas Mouse. And I got to play Franz Gruber and sing Silent Night in German as a solo.
Oh my God.
I am used to the spotlight.
Wow.
That's where I started.
Doug, could you reprise that for us, perhaps?
Yeah.
No, I don't sing anymore.
With Christian joining in the chorus?
Yeah. And Scott. And Scott. And Alan. Wow, you had a featured role there, Doug. That's impressive.
Someone else played the guitar. I didn't have to learn how to play the guitar.
2nd grade, though, huh?
Yeah.
Auf Deutsch. Wow.
Lots of practice.
Where's the umlaut here?
Andrew, how are things going for you and Derek?
Hi, they're doing great. We are currently very, very fortunate enough. We sort of moved in with a friend in Northampton, but we're fortunate enough for this little bit in winter to be house sitting in Vermont. So it's quite bucolic and snowy. And when we first arrived, every day there was just gentle, before the big snowfall, there was just gentle snowfall coming down, and it never really stuck, but it kept happening day after day. And at one point, Derek said, I kind of feel like I'm in a dream because it was constantly just outside the windows, and it was really nice. So we're doing good. He says hello to everyone, and we're doing well. So it's just really nice to be here.
Lovely.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. Well, good. Give him my best.
Sure.
I love snow.
Tom, you must have a lot of cute young guys then that come and shovel.
Well, it's more like a burly landscaping crew whose winter job is to switch to plowing. I live in a condo community, Doug, so it's all taken care of. I have people for that.
Oh my God, Michael and Ken are in the same frame now.
Oh my God. Where did you come from? The iPad died.
I couldn't stay away.
Michael has that effect on people.
So,
Jose, you're being very quiet tonight.
Yeah, how's Jose doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm doing well. I've improved a lot. I've been going to PT now, regaining some balance and some strength, and I think I'll be okay.
Do you believe that? If you think your life's going to be amazing, it will be.
Okay.
I think we've been Zoom bombed. Shall we? Anybody else want to add anything?
I will never think of fruitcake the same way again.
Had you heard the story before, Ron?
Never before.
What do you think of it?
Never before.
How lucky.
Yes, absolutely.
very much a tradition in this house that we read it every year.
Really? Yeah. I was just amazed, and I thought, wow.
This book is a standard Christmas gift that I give to new friends I've made in the previous year.
Isn't that wonderful? Just wonderful. No, it was amazing. I'm glad I joined.
There's a lovely movie version as well.
And is it called A Christmas Story?
Christmas Memory.
Christmas Memory, right.
The story is about the
I've never seen it. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Does anybody get fruitcake for Christmas? Or for the
Got
holiday?
one today in the mail.
Times, yeah.
Oh,
Actually got one today in the mail.
oh, okay. I actually like it. I haven't had it in a while.
Have you all ever seen Pee-wee's Playhouse Christmas Special?
I love that.
So good.
And because what happens, I mean, many things happen in the course of that hour. But one of the things that happen is every guest who comes to the Playhouse brings him a gift of a fruitcake. So by the end of the show, he has had his hunky carpenter friend build a new room made out of fruitcake in lieu of earthen bricks.
My fruitcake memory is because my mother would make dozens and dozens of them to give away.
Oh.
And we would we would have to go down to the basement a couple of times a week, and they were all wrapped in sheets.
Yeah.
And you'd have to pour brandy, just a small amount of brandy over it to sort of soak in and permeate the cake. There must have been some drinking, but I was not aware of it.
And do you like fruitcake today as a result?
I can't stand the stuff.
Oh.
I know it's sad. I'm sorry. I'm a cheesecake guy. What can I say, Alan?
Cheesecake's good too. Just a little more suited to Passover than Christmas, but whatever.
Well, Mazel Tov.
I did make latkes last week.
Yum.
Sour cream or applesauce?
Applesauce. I'm on a healthy diet. I can't eat the sour cream.
You mean it's supposed to be one or the other?
I know. I was going to
Greek yogurt's not a bad substitute. That's heart health.
It is good. I grew up in a totally sour cream family. I didn't even know that applesauce was a thing until I was like 14. And I asked my mother about it, and she said, because we're Polish and Russian, not Romanian.
That was child abuse, and you should have reported it.
Okay, since I'm lit up, I think I was in second grade, and it snowed one Christmas, the really sticky snow. So I went out, well, I wasn't going to build a snowman, so I ended up building this Venus de Milo, basically, with humongous Dolly Parton style boobs and just, the cut-off arms and head. I remember at the waist, she had to have a thicker waist probably than normal just to support the cleavage above. And a local photographer drove by and wanted to take a picture and put it on the front of the newspaper. And my mother was so afraid that my dad's side of the family would be freaked out that she said no. And the reason why I remember it so well was I ended up going to church. I was an altar boy that night for midnight mass. And it was me and two of my cousins. So before the mass, we're getting back to drinking wine as a child. We went back behind the sacristy and we had to get everything ready for the mass. So we're pouring the water and the wine. And my cousin goes, "Happy birthday, Jesus." And he takes the wine and takes the Okay. So we noticed that God didn't strike him dead with a lightning bolt. We each decided we'd do the same thing and kind of got this bet. So then we went out and served the mass. And I don't know if you're familiar with Catholic Church. They have this thing altar boys used to hold when you receive communion called a paten. And it was just like a round metal disc, kind of like the disc in the Pharaoh's crown, except, copper or brass. And you put it under people's mouths so that if a piece of the host fell out, it would fall on the paten and not on the floor. So we're there jabbing everybody in the throat, their tongues coming out as they're we're whacking people under the chin. So they're like, oh man, and gurgling. Oh my God, it was just hysterical. And we couldn't stop laughing. And I don't know, I think a lot of bad stuff happened to us after that mass, but I just remember the one part. It was a great Christmas that year. Second grade.
Thank you for that, Gordon. Thank you.
That's a great story.
I just hope you don't go to
Gordon, there's a short story there. I think you should write it and publish it.
Oh, I think it's a little operetta. I don't think it's a story.
I think a musical of some sort, yeah.
The altar boy crowd I hung out with, for some reason, we were very crunchy granola as a parish. So we had whole wheat hosts. And, honest to God.
Spinach or tomato today?
And we were like during Lent when we were starving to death all the time, we would break into the plastic bags of hosts and we came to call them Christ Krispies.
Goodness.
Whole body of Christ. Whole body of Christ now.
Well, or Greg, you could have called them Host Toasties.
Bye, Scott. We love you.
Be well. Happy holidays.
Hi, Scotty.
It's really wonderful to see all of you gentlemen.
Yeah, same.
Who are you calling a gentleman?
Sorry, lady and ladies.
Right.
So what I'd like to do is blow out our candle. We can leave the room open, but then if people have to head out, I know it's been an hour and a half. So if everybody would.
Michael?
Yes.
Michael, may I read a poem before we
Please.
do? Yeah.
Love to.
So this is a poem that you all know, and some of you have probably memorized at some point in your school lives. It's by Robert Frost, and it's called Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.
Beautifully read.
Thank you.
So if everybody would blow this out with me. Inhale. I'll leave the room open if anyone wants to stay on. That's great. But I also want to know that I don't want to hold people hostage.
Happy holidays.
Good night, everyone.
Love you all.
Thank you.
Before you guys
New
go,
Year.
before you guys go, I forgot to mention, there was, Ben did that conversation on race in October, and that's going to be continuing starting in January on Sunday nights. I'll be sending out a MailChimp and I'll put it on Facebook. But sort of like some sort of study group or conversation thing will be continuing. Anybody else have any announcements? Things that are coming up, or nobody does anything, so no. Tell me what you're not doing. Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Take
Thank
care.
you, Michael. Happy holidays,
Thank you for
everybody.
doing this.